A brittle radio signal cuts through the static in a smoky operations tent deep in occupied France. German laughter echoes beneath the hiss, clipped, cold, confident. Around a table cluttered with maps and half-smoked cigarettes, Major Klaus von Richter chuckles as he reads aloud intercepted reports of American supply chaos. They cannot even feed their own tanks, he sneers. A circus on wheels. The room erupts in laughter. Yet hundreds of miles away, in an Allied communications hut buzzing with Morse clicks, Captain Ingrid Stein listens in silence. Her pen trembles over her notes. She knows those voices, the same tone that once mocked her father before his execution for defiance. Outside, rain lashes against canvas, and somewhere beyond the channel, engines begin to warm in the dark. At a depot in southern England, rows of olive-drab trucks stretch to the horizon. Men move like shadows under blackout, their faces barely lit by the dull glow of lanterns. Sergeant James, red. Coleman climbs into his cab, runs a hand along the worn steering wheel and mutters to himself, "Let's show him how a circus rolls." The convoy rolls through the misty dawn like a living serpent of steel and smoke. Engines rumble low, muffled under blackout hoods, tires grinding mud and gravel. Red Coleman keeps one hand steady on the wheel and the other on the CB mic that never quite works. Ahead, the road curves into fog so thick it eats the headlights whole. Bobby Tillman hums quietly beside him, a nervous rhythm that keeps sleep at bay. Behind them, dozens of trucks follow at exact intervals. No lights, no chatter, just instinct. On the roadside, MPs stand like ghosts waving dim lanterns, guiding the endless line toward the coast. Lieutenant Walter Haynes watches from a jeep parked near the checkpoint, clipboard in hand, eyes bloodshot. 3,000 gallons a rig, he murmurs, and not enough time to dream. The convoy passes, a tide of quiet courage moving toward a war that waits across the channel. The channel crossing feels endless. A convoy of ships instead of trucks now, engines replaced by the groan of steel hulls and crashing waves. Red leans over the railing of the landing craft, the wind cutting through his jacket. Bobby vomits quietly over the side, embarrassed, but Red just grins and hands him a canteen. "Don't worry, rookie. France don't care if you lose breakfast." Across the deck, Lieutenant Haynes hunches over a crate of manifests, lips moving as he rehearses orders. The ocean smells of diesel, salt, and something faintly metallic. The scent of war waiting on the other shore. As dawn breaks, the clouds part for a heartbeat, revealing the coast of Normandy scarred and gray. The convoy men stare in silence. No one cheers. No one prays. They just watch the smoke on the horizon and wait for the ramp to drop. The first French roads are barely roads at all. Broken cobblestone veins clogged with mud, shell craters, and wreckage. Red's truck lurches forward, bouncing violently as Bobby clings to the dashboard. Villagers watch silently from shattered windows, faces hollow but hopeful. The convoy snakes through ruins where church bells hang silent and walls lean like old drunks. Haynes rides ahead in his jeep, radio pressed to his ear, barking coordinates through static. Every mile feels stolen from chaos. A burned-out Sherman lies half-buried in a ditch, its turret twisted like a child's toy. "Keep rolling," Red mutters, voice low but steady. The sun finally breaks through, pale gold, light spilling across the destruction, glinting off hundreds of metal hoods crawling eastward. By nightfall, the road turns to swamp. Rain falls in sheets, turning dirt to thick soup beneath spinning tires. Engines snarl, tires sink, tempers flare. Red pushes his truck through a deep rut, shouting over the roar. Bobby jumps out with a shovel, mud up to his knees. Behind them, a truck jackknifes, blocking the line. Haynes wades through the mess, boots slapping water, his voice raw. "No stopping! Keep them moving!" The men strain together, pushing, pulling, swearing until the tires catch and the engine roars back to life. When the truck finally breaks free, Bobby collapses against the bumper, laughing through exhaustion. Red hauls him up and grins. "Told you, kid. The circus don't quit." Lightning flashes overhead, and for a heartbeat the convoy looks endless. A river of motion slicing through storm and mud toward a front that depends on every drop of fuel they carry. Night swallows the road whole. The convoy moves without headlights, guided only by the red reflectors glowing faintly on tailgates ahead. Red Coleman leans forward. Squinting through the dark, the rumble of 100 engines blending into a single metallic heartbeat. Somewhere behind him, a truck backfires, echoing like gunfire through the hills. Every man flinches, every pulse quickens. Bobby mutters, "Feels like ghosts out here." But Red says nothing. He's counting seconds between turns, tracing the route from memory. Up ahead, Lieutenant Haynes signals a halt, his flashlight hidden under his coat. A bridge has collapsed. The rain turned the embankment into a pit. They can't go back. They can't stop. Red grabs a shovel, his boots sinking in mud, and the men begin digging, improvising planks and stones, every motion fueled by pure defiance. Above them, thunder rolls, masking their noise, and somewhere out there, German artillery scouts listen for trucks that never should have made it this far. By dawn, the bridge holds barely. One by one, trucks cross the makeshift span, wood creaking under tons of fuel. Red grips the wheel, tight as the truck lurches forward, the abyss yawning inches from the tires. Bobby shuts his eyes, whispering something only his mother would understand. On the far side, Haynes waves them through, his face pale, his hands trembling from adrenaline. The road ahead winds through forest and fog, every turn hiding a threat. Yet when the last truck clears the bridge, Red glances back and lets out a slow breath. Pride, fear, and fatigue mixing in one silent exhale. The convoy doesn't cheer. They just keep moving, engines roaring into another day of uncertainty. They call it the Gauntlet. A stretch of road lined with wreckage, burned-out convoys, and the whisper of enemy snipers in the hills. The drivers know every curve by heart, yet no one speaks. Red spots a burned truck ahead, the metal twisted like a skeleton, still smoking faintly. Haynes rides point in his jeep, hand raised, slowing the line. The air smells of oil and death. A signpost riddled with bullet holes marks the turn. St. Lo, 8 miles. As they pass, a single rifle crack splits the silence. A bullet shatters Red's mirror. He ducks instinctively, swerving hard. Bobby yells, "Sniper!" But there's no stopping. The convoy accelerates, every engine howling as trucks swerve and dodge. Red's jaw locks, eyes fixed forward. "Keep moving," he growls. "Always keep moving." The convoy pushes past the ambush zone without losing a single truck. But silence follows like a ghost. No laughter, no talk. Just the hum of engines and the weight of survival. At a roadside checkpoint, Haynes steps out to speak with an MP. They're behind schedule, but command wants more fuel, pushed to Patton's front by dawn. Red leans against the truck, lighting a cigarette that barely catches in the wind. Bobby sits on the fender, staring at the horizon, still shaking. "How long we keep this up?" he asks. Red exhales smoke, watching it twist into the night. "Till we run out of road, or till the war does." The engines rev again, tires roll, and the convoy disappears into the dark like a dream refusing to fade. That night, the trucks park in a clearing surrounded by trees that whisper with wind. Many eat cold rations in silence, their faces lit by the soft glow of hooded lamps. Red sits on the tailgate, grease on his hands, staring at his boots. Bobby nods off mid-bite, spoon falling from his hand. Across the camp, Haynes writes a report by lantern, every word shaking from exhaustion. Convoy operational. No losses. He pauses, then adds quietly, Miracle. Somewhere far off, artillery thunders like a heartbeat. Red looks up at the stars breaking through the clouds. Faint, trembling, distant. Tomorrow, he says under his breath. We keep the wheels turning. The forest answers with silence. The morning sky glows blood orange behind rolling clouds of dust. Ahead of them lies the front, a line of armor stalled in silence. Patton's tanks are hungry, their engines dead, their guns idle. The Red Ball Express thunders closer, the ground trembling under tons of diesel and steel. Lieutenant Walter Haynes rides point, shouting into his radio, "Get those drums up front! Tanks are waiting! Sergeant waiting! Sergeant!" James. Red. Coleman feels it before he sees it. The rumble of tanks, the desperate waves of soldiers running to meet them. When his truck halts, hands are already reaching for the hoses. The smell of gasoline fills the air. Bobby Tillman jumps down, boots splashing in mud, guiding the line like he's done it forever. A tanker crewman salutes him, not out of protocol, but gratitude. For the first time in weeks, Patton's Third Army breathes again. They drive east through shattered farmland, past burned barns and broken tractors left like ghosts of a quieter world. Red keeps the truck steady over rutted roads, humming a low tune to drown out the chaos. Bobby points at a village ahead, roofs blown off, smoke rising from chimneys still smoldering. "Looks like hell forgot something," he says softly. Red nods but doesn't answer. He's seen it all, and he knows it's only the beginning. Haynes' Jeep speeds ahead, wheels kicking up mud, his face grim as he reads new orders. Deliver 400 more barrels by midnight. The Red Ball Express never stops. There's no room for mercy or fatigue. Every mile east is another heartbeat for the front. By evening, the convoy reaches a bombed-out rail yard that serves as a temporary fuel dump. Shells still fall miles away, the ground quivering like a tired heartbeat. Men rush to unload drums, stacking them in trenches camouflaged with netting. Red's back aches, Bobby's hands blister. Haynes' voice grows hoarse, shouting through the din. A sudden explosion rips through the far end of the yard. A stray artillery round slams into an empty tank. Flames rise 50 feet, painting their faces in orange horror. Bobby dives for cover. Red tackles him into the mud. Seconds later, Haynes is there, dragging men to safety. The fire burns through the night, but the convoy keeps unloading. Duty doesn't pause for fire. It burns alongside it. At dawn, the fire's gone out, leaving only the smell of burnt oil and silence. The convoy prepares to move again. Red wipes his face with a rag blackened by soot. Bobby stares at the smoking ruins, eyes distant, voice small. "How do we keep doing this?" Red looks at him, then at the rising sun. "'Cause if we don't, someone else dies waiting." Haynes climbs onto his Jeep, rallying the men. "You did good last night. The tanks rolled because of you. Remember that." His voice cracks, but no one calls it weakness. They load up again. Engines roar, and the convoy rumbles east. No songs, no speeches, just wheels grinding toward destiny. By nightfall, the Red Ball Express has covered another 100 miles. Radio chatter crackles with gratitude. Patton's line is moving again, slicing deep into France. Red drives in silence, the hum of the engine steady and low. Bobby finally smiles, leaning back in his seat. "They'll remember this, right? What we did." Red chuckles softly, eyes fixed ahead. "Maybe not, but history's heavy, and someone's got to haul it." The headlights behind them form an endless river of light, each truck carrying not just fuel, but faith. Somewhere far ahead, guns thunder in the dark, and behind them the laughter of German officers has long since gone silent. Deep inside a forest near the Siegfried Line, Major Klaus von Richter studies a field map by lantern light. His officers whisper around him, their voices brittle with disbelief. American forces have advanced nearly 60 miles in 2 days, an impossibility without supply. They cannot move this fast, von Richter mutters, his pen snapping in his hand, but he knows they can't. He's seen the convoys, the endless trails of trucks crawling through mud and fire. In a captured report, one word keeps reappearing: Red Ball Express. Von Richter leans back, the laughter of weeks past now a bitter memory. Across the channel, Captain Ingrid Stein transcribes another intercepted German message. Her pen trembles again, but this time with pride. "They're afraid," she whispers. They finally understand. Outside her tent, thunder rolls, not from the sky, but from the road. The convoy moves, tire by tire, crushing arrogance beneath its wheels. Ingrid's voice trembles as she reads the transcript aloud to her superior. Enemy logistics units moving with unnatural speed. Convoys operate day and night. Suggest countermeasures. The colonel, listening beside her, nods slowly. They sound scared. She allows herself a rare smile. In her mind's eye, she sees Red Coleman's truck, headlights dimmed, slicing through the dark like a heartbeat of war. These men she's never met. They are the pulse she's been listening to for months. As she files the report, her reflection catches in the tent's radio glass, one half in shadow, one half illuminated. For the first time, she feels part of something larger than war itself. Motion, courage, and the quiet defiance of men who refuse to stop. Somewhere near Metz, the Red Ball Express barrels through a storm that blots out moon and road alike. Heinous voice crackles over the radio. "Don't stop for anything! Keep those engines alive!" Red drives, blind through sheets of rain, tires skidding on flooded earth. Bobby leans forward, wiping the windshield with his sleeve every few seconds. Lightning flashes. For an instant, they see dozens of trucks behind them, wheels cutting rivers through mud, faces glowing faintly in flashes of light. Each man drives like the world depends on him, because it does. The storm rages, but the convoy never slows. Each mile is a defiance, each engine a roar that reaches the ears of men like von Richter and drowns their laughter forever. By dawn, the storm breaks. The convoy emerges from the mist into a valley carpeted with fog. Red's truck rolls to a stop beside a field of burned German armor, black silhouettes against the pale sunrise. Haynes steps down from his jeep and stares at the horizon, eyes wide. "They're gone," he murmurs. They ran out of fuel. The irony lands heavy. The same mockers now stranded, their machines dead where they stood. Bobby walks between wrecks, touching cold steel. His reflection ghost-like in the charred metal. "Guess they forgot to laugh," he whispers. Red doesn't reply. He just looks at the wreckage and starts his engine again. "Let's keep ours running." That night, Ingrid listens again. Not to laughter this time, but to the trembling voice of a German lieutenant broadcasting a desperate plea. "We are out of fuel. Tanks immobilized. Request resupply." She closes her eyes and exhales, her voice barely a whisper. Now they understand. In the darkness beyond the tent, the Red Ball Express roars east, engines echoing through fields and forests. Red's truck leads the column, headlights faint beneath the stars. Bobby hums quietly beside him, and Haynes rides ahead, his face lit by the map on his lap. No one speaks, but they all feel it. The tide has turned, and it was the wheels that did it. Not guns, not glory, just motion. Endless, unbroken motion. The road to Reims is a river of dust and thunder. The Red Ball Express rolls on without pause, its men worn thin but unbroken. Red Coleman's hands are blistered, his knuckles wrapped in tape, yet his grip never falters. Bobby Tillman yawns beside him, half asleep, his helmet tilted forward. Up ahead, Haynes stands in his Jeep, wind tearing at his coat as he signals turns with a flashlight wrapped in red cloth. For days, they've lived on black coffee and adrenaline. Then, out of nowhere, the convoy halts, a small French village ahead, the first in months not shattered by war. Children rush from doorways, waving bread and flowers. For a fleeting moment, the drivers laugh, smiling through grime and fatigue. Red tosses his last ration bar to a boy running barefoot beside the truck. "Keep rolling, soldier," he says with a grin. The engines roar again, and the convoy moves on, leaving behind a trail of hope and dust. Night falls over the convoy's makeshift camp near the Marne. Trucks park in a circle, engines cooling, their metal ticking softly in the chill air. Drivers huddle around small fires, sharing coffee from battered tin cups. Red sits beside Haynes for the first time without rank between them. "How long you think this'll last?" Red asks, voice low. Haynes shrugs, staring into the fire. "As long as it takes. The road don't end till Berlin." Bobby joins them, hands shaking as he holds his cup. "Then we better start paving it," he mutters, earning quiet laughter from both men. Around them, dozens of weary faces glow in firelight. Brothers, not by blood, but by miles and motion. Before dawn, word spreads. One of the convoy trucks has overturned on a narrow road. Red volunteers without hesitation to help recover it. When they reach the site, they find a driver pinned beneath twisted metal, moaning softly. It's a young man from Alabama. Same uniform, same mission. Red climbs down without pause, mud and oil coating his arms as he lifts with the others. Bobby stands beside him, face pale but determined. Haynes barks orders, voice hoarse. "Get him out now." They haul the driver free, blood on their sleeves, hearts pounding. When the man breathes again, weak but alive, Red grins. "Told you this road don't quit." The convoy cheers softly in the fog. Not triumph, but solidarity. The convoy rolls again before sunrise. The rescued driver rides with Red now, bandaged arm resting on his lap, eyes glassy with pain and gratitude. Bobby hums quietly in the background, a tune from home, something that softens the hum of the engine. Red glances at the boy, then at the wounded man. "This road's got ghosts," he says, "but it keeps us breathing." Outside, mist coils around the trucks, silver in the early light. For a moment, time feels suspended. The war distant, the world reduced to road, wheels, and the will to keep moving forward. That evening, the convoy halts near a ridge overlooking the plains below. The first glimpse of German territory shimmering in the distance. Haynes stands at the edge of the road, watching the horizon. Red and Bobby step beside him, silent. "Almost there," Haynes whispers. Red nods, hands in his pockets. "Feels like we've been almost there forever." Bobby chuckles, but there's no joy in it, only relief. Below them, hundreds of trucks idle, engines rumbling low, smoke drifting upward like incense for the fallen. For a long moment, the three men stand together, wordless, bound by fatigue, pride, and the simple truth that they've carried the army on their backs. The rain returns like an omen. Heavy, cold, relentless. The convoy crawls through a ravine outside Nancy, tires sinking deep into ruts of mud and shrapnel. Red's truck coughs once, then again, before the engine dies with a groan that sounds almost human. "No, now," he mutters, slamming the dash. Bobby jumps out into the downpour, lifting the hood, steam rising into his face. "Fuel lines shot," he yells over the storm. Behind them, other trucks slow, horns muffled, engines idling. Haynes' voice crackles over the radio. "Leave it. We can't stop." But Red doesn't move. He looks at Bobby, rain running down his cheek, and shakes his head. I ain't leaving her. We fix it, or we walk her out. Bobby nods without hesitation. The road behind them fills with noise and thunder. The convoy's lifeline at stake. Minutes turn to an hour. The mud grows deeper, the rain colder. Red works beneath the truck with numb hands, tightening a hose clamp with a piece of wire and sheer willpower. Bobby crouches beside him, shielding the lantern from rain. We're sittin' ducks out here, he mutters. Red grins without looking up. Then let's look busy. Far above them, a low whistle cuts through the wind. Artillery. The first shell hits half a mile away, shaking the ground. Incoming! Someone screams. Red doesn't flinch. Almost got it, he growls, twisting the last bolt. The second explosion hits closer, a rain of dirt pelting the cab. Bobby dives under the truck, eyes wide. You crazy, Sarge. Red laughs, short, wild, defiant. Yeah, he says. And that's why we'll make it. The engine roars back to life with a cough and a growl. Red slides out from under the chassis, face streaked with mud, grinning like a man who just cheated death. Told you she'd sing again, he says. Bobby jumps into the cab, firing up the lights. But before they can move, a third shell lands nearby. The concussion lifting the rear of the truck and throwing Red into the mud, ears ringing, vision blurred. He hears Bobby shouting his name. Heinous Jeep skids to a halt beside them, headlights slicing through the smoke. Get in, he yells. Red shakes his head, forcing himself up, blood on his temple. We ain't leaving the load. The three men lock eyes through the storm. Command versus conviction. Then Haynes lowers his voice, face hardening. Fine. Then we all stay. The convoy ahead disappears into fog, unaware their brothers have stopped. Red's truck idles, engine rumbling steady now. But the road's blocked by debris and fire. The rain mixes with the acrid stench of smoke. Haynes grabs the radio, calling out coordinates for air cover. Static answers him. Bobby climbs onto the truck bed, rifle in hand, scanning the ridgeline. Shadows move, German scouts. No more than a dozen. Red yells, "Down!" Bullets tear through canvas, pinging off steel. Haynes fires back with his sidearm, shouting over the chaos. We can't hold here. Red leaps into the driver's seat, slams the accelerator. The truck lurches forward through mud, tearing past burning debris, splashing through fire and rain as bullets chase them. They break through the ridge at dawn. Smoke clears and silence settles over the battered convoy. What remains of it? Red's truck limps to a halt beside a ruined farmhouse, one tire shredded, engine wheezing. Bobby collapses against the seat, trembling but alive. Haynes leans against the hood, breathing hard, eyes distant. We broke every order in the book, he mutters. Red wipes blood and mud from his face, looking toward the rising sun. Yeah, he says softly. And saved every man behind us. In the valley below, faint headlights appear. The rest of the convoy catching up, alive because of them. For the first time, Haynes smiles. You're a stubborn bastard, Red. Red chuckles weakly, takes one to lead one. The rain stops. The engines fall silent. For a heartbeat, the war pauses to breathe with them. Snow drifts softly across the Ardennes, whitening the scars of war. The Red Ball Express rolls slower now, its mission nearly done. The once mighty roar of engines has faded to a low hum, a tired sigh that echoes through the valleys they've conquered. Sergeant James Red Coleman drives in silence, his hands wrapped in ragged gloves, breath clouding the air. PVT. Robert, Bobby, Tillman hums quietly beside him, a tune that sounds like home. Lieutenant Walter Haynes rides point, his jeep patched with mud and bullet holes, a relic of survival. On the radio, an announcement crackles through. Paris supplied. Patton resuming advance. Well done, Red Ball. Red smiles faintly. Eyes still fixed on the horizon. Well done, he murmurs. But not done yet. At an old airfield turned depot, the men unload for what they've been told is the final run. Fuel drums clang on the frozen ground, breath rising in clouds as laughter replaces exhaustion. For the first time in months, someone plays music. A scratchy record on a field radio. Red leans against his truck, watching Bobby dance awkwardly near the fire. Boots sliding on ice. Haynes approaches, holding 3 tin cups of coffee. To the road, he says, raising his cup. Red nods. To the wheels that never quit. Bobby lifts his own. And to the folks who thought we couldn't. The cups clink, their steam mixing with the breath of men who found family in motion. For once, there's warmth in the cold. Morning brings silence. Orders come down. The Red Ball Express will stand down within days. The men stare at each other, unsure whether to cheer or mourn. Red walks the line of trucks, touching each hood like saying goodbye to old friends. Bobby jogs beside him, asking, "What'll we do now?" Red shrugs. "Guess we find another road." Haynes approaches with papers in hand, reassignment orders. "Command says we can rest," he says, but there's no peace in his eyes. They've lived too long in motion to know stillness. The engines are cold, the road quiet, and yet, somewhere inside each of them, something still hums, the rhythm that kept the world turning. Later that night, the 3 men sit in the cab of Red's truck. Engine off, listening to the faint crackle of distant artillery. The war's final heartbeat. Bobby's asleep in the corner, head against the window. Haynes smokes in silence, staring out at the frozen fields. Red speaks softly, voice barely above the wind. "You ever think about all we carried?" Haynes turns toward him. "Gas, ammo, hope. Hell of a load." Red nods slow. "Hope's the heaviest." The 2 men share a quiet laugh that fades into stillness. Outside, the snow keeps falling, covering the tracks they made, erasing the evidence but not the impact. The road that won the war fades beneath the snow, but in their hearts, it still hums. Spring arrives before they notice. The war in Europe ends. Red stands on a hillside overlooking a road, no longer guarded, no longer bleeding mud and fire. Bobby stands beside him wearing a clean uniform for the first time in months. Haynes joins them, hat in hand, eyes on the horizon. Below, civilians walk freely. Wagons, bicycles, laughter. The world in motion again. "They'll never know our names," Bobby says quietly. Red smiles. "Don't need to. Long as they keep moving, that's us." Ingrid Stein's voice carries over the final frame. A soft narration over images of empty roads and resting trucks. They mocked the wheels that never slept. But those wheels carried freedom, mile by mile, through darkness, fear, and fire, until laughter died and liberty rolled in.